Okay, everybody, we are back and we are here to talk about your chart of accounts, what they are, how to get them set up. We have some resources for you in this area as well, so we'll go on and get started here. So in order to locate your chart of accounts, you come over here to Accounting and Chart of Accounts. And when the first time you do this, it'll say something like peek under your hood or see your chart of accounts or something like that. So just click that and that's fine. And what it'll do is it'll bring you right to this screen. Now, your initial chart of accounts are going to look a lot different than what I have on here. And it's going to be the standard chart of accounts, and there's not going to be that many accounts on there. There's going to be about maybe 5 or 6 that you cannot get rid of. But what we're ultimately going to do is we are going to get rid of everything that we can. We're going to import a new set of chart of accounts, and I have a link to that Excel file that you're going to use to import those, and it's going to mimic the way that I have this set up here. And we'll get to that in a minute. So basically what a chart of accounts is a list of all the accounts that you're going to classify expenses to. So there's different types of chart of accounts. I mean, you have your assets, you have your liabilities, you have bank accounts, you have income, you have expenses, and there's equity. There's all kinds of different accounts here. You know, there's 5 or 6 major categories. But with this import, most of that basic setup is going to be taken care of for you. It's always a good idea to get a better understanding of those kind of behind the scenes details. But for the purpose of this course, you know, we're going to import them and then move on from there. So let me show you why it's important. Let's see here. So when you classify all your income and your expenses to ledger accounts, what it does is it allows you to organize the way that you look at all the activity. So as you can see here, these are the chart of accounts that you just saw, and they're not all showing, only the ones with activity and the month, so that you can quickly and easily see, like for January, for example, in January, we had $2,090. The reason that shows up there is because the rental income that we set up in the invoice links to this account, so then it reflects in the reports. And of course, as we move through drain cleaning, carpet cleaning, all those different income and expenses are linked to those. Now you have income statement accounts, and then there's also balance sheet accounts, which don't always show up on the income statement. You know, like your security deposit liability is not going to show up on your income statement, but it's still a chart of accounts. And this is your tenant security deposit liability, is how much money you have collected in security deposits from your tenants and how much you owe them back at this point in time. So that is where that comes in. Okay, so to get your chart of accounts loaded up, we are going to come over here to the accounting, to the chart of accounts tab, and then we are going to import here. But first thing what we need to do is we need to get rid of some of these accounts. So what I want you to do, and this will take 10 minutes or so, is you're going to go in and you're going to start at the bottom, and you are going to select this little drop down arrow and make it inactive. I want you to go through every single account and make each one inactive. Now again, there's going to be 5, maybe 6 of them that it will not allow you to make inactive, and that's because it's linked to a workflow process within QuickBooks, and that's okay. One of them, like for example, is going to be this inventory asset. I don't use it, I don't have an account number logged to it, but I can't get rid of it, and it's not a big deal. It's not going to show up anywhere. That's just one example, one of the accounts you will not be able to get rid of. And then from here, you are going to select the drop down and you're going to import. After all your accounts are deleted, you're going to import, hit that import button. And then you're going to select a CSV or an Excel file, and the file that we have is an Excel file. So let's locate that real quick. Bookkeeping, no. Let's go. Then chart of accounts, property owner. And then once we have that here, we're going to select next. And the way that this is set up is this spreadsheet is already set up to match the fields. So just make sure that this your field matches the QuickBooks Online field. It should come across exactly though, just like this. And then we're going to hit next again. And then it's going to have all of the accounts. It's going to give you a preview of all of the accounts. And again, this should line up perfectly. The way this is set up, the account names and the account numbers, and this is what we were talking about earlier with our account numbers, and we'll look at this again on the chart of accounts. But if you don't have that show account number selected in the setup, these will not show up. But then you have the actual account name, and you have the type, and you have the detail here. And then from there, you're going to select import. Now, what will end up happening is you'll go to one more screen, and I already have mine set up, so I don't want to redo this because it'll double up all my charts. But you'll have one more screen, and if there's any errors, it'll have like a red arrow on it or whatever, and then you can decide what to do from there. There shouldn't be any errors on here, but if it is, it's going to be only because maybe one of these accounts match what's already in QuickBooks. And if that's the case, just skip it. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so we're going to leave there. But yeah, here's those account numbers again. And the way that I classify this is, well, I think the standard classification is basically your assets are going to be basically 1,000 series accounts or 10,000. Start with a 1 in this example here because I go all the way up to 19,000. Your liabilities are going to be in that 20,000 range. Your equity is going to be in that 30,000 range. Your income accounts are going to be 4,000 range. If you use a cost of goods, which in this case we consider all of these expenses cost of goods, it's going to be in the $5,000 range. The $6,000 range is going to be, in our setup, is going to be exclusive to basically expenses that belong to the company and not necessarily to a property. So that's kind of the differentiating factor there is 5,000 series expenses really are property expenses. And this is going to be general stuff like, I don't know, copy paper. You're not going to want to bill out copy paper by the property. So if you were to buy copy paper, it would end up being an office supply in the 61,100. Got your marketing at 6,200. You have your contracted services at 6,300. Payroll don't use, but 6,400. Repairs and maintenance 65. Communication 66. So you kind of get the layout here. We jump into other expenses down here in the 8,000, and I have an Ask My Accountant. So anything that I'm not sure of, I just pop it in my Ask My Accountant, and once a month or so, maybe send over a question with all the lists that I have, because it logs it. You can pull up that account on your reports, and it'll show all the expenses you're not sure about. And really, for me, it's easier on the data entry side to use numbers. QuickBooks is pretty easy either way, but and then perhaps it's just because I'm in the habit of it. But I know that the management expense is 6,000, administrative 6,100. I know my marketing is going to be the 62,000 range. So if I know it's a marketing deal, I just type in 6.2, and then all the options pop up. And let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. So if you're putting a new expense in or whatever else, and you have your category, and I know it's a marketing expense, I could type in a 62, and it pops in all the options that are sub-categorized under 62. Now you can also type in, if you know website is in there, you can type in website, and that'll pop up as well. And let's go back to chart of accounts one more time here. One more thing I want to make sure, I'm not 1,000% sure that when these are imported in, that they get the sub classes or the sub accounts are done correctly. So as you can see, I have main categories here. I have rental income, and under rental income, I have rent, subsidized rent income, and other income. I have reimbursed item, then I have a series of subs. And the way to do a sub is when you edit, you just go in here, your account is already should be set up in here. And then if it's not already and you want to sub these out, you basically just check this is a sub account, and then you pop it under which one you want it to show up under. Now this is going to be extremely helpful when you're looking at your report. So there's a couple different ways we can look at this here. So these can be dropped down, and you can see your main categories. So you know all your rental incomes here. You don't know what consists, what type of rental income is rental income. Here's your reimbursed items. Here's your gross profit. Here's your expenses. You don't know what makes that up, but there's your expenses. But then if you want to get into your subcategories, you can drop them down and see contracted services, repairs and maintenance, utilities, and these even have drop downs to where you can really manipulate the way that you look at the information on what works best for you. So that's the reason I like to have the categories and then whatever's in that category drop down. So if I just want to know, okay, how much should I do repairs and maintenance for the whole year? How much should I do in turnover expenses? How much should I do in utilities? There it is. But if I'm like, if I see something that's weird and I'm like, wow, what happened with repairs and maintenance? Why did it jump up so much? I can click down here and look at all the subcategories and see, oh, geez, there's a $600 water bill. What happened there? So that's some of the ways that you can use these to kind of look into, the analysis side of this. And then I probably should have done this first, but that's okay. We'll circle back to it now. We've imported everything here. Now, if you just want to create a new chart of accounts, no problem. What type of account is it? Bank account, an asset, a credit card. This is where you can set up new credit cards. Income, expense, cost of goods. You're gonna select the type of account that you have here. You should have about every account that you need, and I wouldn't mess around with this whole bunch until you're familiar with how the chart of accounts work and how they're set up. But if you need to, this is the way you do it. The type of account it is, so we have bank. If I want to make this a checking account, if we have 2 checking accounts, we can set up whatever it is. You can put the bank information here, like. It's just the identification of it. Now this number is the ledger number. So as you can see, you can't see all the details, but these first couple ones are bank accounts, 10200, 10300, 10600. So, you want to keep it in the same range, because if you put this 9999, it's going to drop somewhere completely different. But if you put 10100, it's going to show up in numerical order here. So it keeps all the bank accounts in the same area on your chart of accounts. You can put a description if you want to, and if you need to put a sub account, again, there's your sub accounts. I don't have sub accounts for the banking accounts, but if I did, you can sub it there. And then on a bank account, it gives you the option of when you want to start tracking from this account. So you can select that as well. And I wouldn't go too far back, because I think what happens if you link this account to the online banking, it'll try to download all those transactions. So it really kind of depends on what you're trying to do. Then you just hit save and close, and that'll finish that up. Okay, again, in the resource section over there in the downloads of this section, you're going to have your sample chart of accounts that you can use to import and create your chart of accounts exactly as you see it here. And again, this is a very robust, thorough chart of accounts that has been developed over years, so it should be very effective for you. If you need to update it, feel free to. I mean, for example, these are my marketing expenses, but if you want to see something specific, let's say you start advertising with forrent.com, and you want to know exactly how much money is going to forrent.com, how much money is going to apartmentsguide.com, how much money is going to whatever advertising source that you're spending. For me, that could just be an internet lead generation expense, or you could go up here and this would be an expense, advertising promotional, and we're going to do I don't know what's available, but I know it's 6.2. Let's just go 888. That keeps it in the general range. We want to sub account this under the marketing. You can type in marketing under 6.2. And actually there's some numbers there. So let's just make this 62101 so I can show you how the classification works. And save and close. Okay, so once that's set up, you're going to go down here to your 6.2, and since we made it a sub account of marketing and expense, it's going to show up under the marketing expense section. But you also see that since I put 62101, it put it right under advertising, so I can control where it actually shows up in the hierarchical order here. And then if I want to do forrent.com and any of the competitors, then what I can do is look at reports based on that, and it'll show January, February, March, April, how much did I spend in each of these categories. So it's a very good way to set your books up to be an analytical tool for evaluating your income and expenses. Okay, so that's what I have on the chart of accounts. In the next section here, we are going to start getting into the actual bank accounts.